Hey, what? I can't wait to ask you this too. I was going to call you about it the other day.
What is that vibrating? Oh, that's me. My bad. You get to hear the intro twice.
Is that you? Okay.
You got to hear the intro twice. I really like that song. I can't wait for Danny to turn it into a into an actual song with words. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm really looking forward to.
Okay.
So before the show, we were talking about
how about you read Cardimax?
Our various efforts to get people out of a certain country. But before we get there, I will read Cardimax because we've got. Where's the new pre-roll?
Oh, I'll just read this one. I like to achieve my max.
Well, there's new stuff though because it's right now with Cardimax, you're gonna get 30% off all of your next 4 orders if you use the code American.
Ooh,
that's a good deal.
Hell yeah!
And you should stock up because you never know.
I'm gonna read it. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Life on the front lines requires you to step up your game, Dan. It's owned and operated by former Navy SEAL Sean Madsen. Cardimax has designed just the right supplements for you, Dan, and is offering American Party an exclusive offer. Say what the offer is.
The offer is that you're going to get 30% off each of your next 4 orders if you use the code American. Go to cardomax.com. That's CARDOMAX.com, helping you achieve your max.
Hell yeah.
Cardimax. It's a good product.
Hell yeah. Sean's a badass too.
Yeah, he is. That immunity booster has been saving my life lately because I've been traveling more again.
Yeah.
And it's getting to be that season in fucking Texas.
Dude.
God damn it, dude.
I'll tell you, man, I take the immunity booster. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to throw it out there. I don't have AIDS. I have never gotten COVID. Mm-hmm. I take it and then I eat shellfish. I'm allergic to shellfish. You know what I mean? Bro, nothing can fuck with me.
Yeah, I overdosed on all sorts of drugs the other day, drank a Cardimax, and I was just fine.
Fine, yeah. Cardimax is, listen to me, Cardimax Immunity Booster is the Narcan of life.
Yeah.
These are not medical claims.
And hold on, Giorgio, and this is coming from a doctor, just so you know. What do you think, Dan?
I think that you're an idiot.
You don't mean that.
Yeah, I do. I mean it. More than anything I've ever meant.
Listen, I drink Cardimax Immunity Booster before I have sex, and I don't wear a condom.
That actually makes sense to me, but only because I don't know what a condom is.
You don't?
I mean, I'm familiar with the word, but I've never seen one in person.
Really? So, me, I wear condoms when I put puzzles together. Safety first.
I don't think that makes you any safer.
No?
No, because condoms don't prevent what puzzles do to you, which is make you a fucking weirdo. Right?
This is awkward.
It is awkward. So it's very awkward.
So a couple things. I think we need to do a show next week on, and I think you all should comment on this show. What do we think so Biden's approval rating is going to go below 30% by the weekend.
It depends on where you're looking. I mean, even on Gallup, which skews pretty far left with presidential polls, he's at 49% as of yesterday. It's probably lower today.
He still sucks.
Yeah.
The aggregate approval rating right now on 538 is
41.
47.6.
Okay, it's going to go down. It's still going to go down though.
Yeah, because this isn't getting better. As a matter of fact, yesterday JSOC started pulling out.
Yeah.
So it's only going to get worse now. And the fact, I think a lot of Americans have a big problem with asking the Taliban for permission. I think that was a huge mistake.
Well, yeah, it's fucked. So anyways, back to my point is, I think we should do a show next week on so the Democrats are fucking dead in the water. What are they going to do for next November? What's going to be the big...
Well, I mean, look, there's already a very narrow margin in the House. So
it's going to be the big...
The House is going to flip to Republican for sure.
Well, what is it going to be? Like, look, there's not going to be a COVID.
Oh, you're asking what they're going to try to use to scare people?
Yeah, if you'd listen for fucking 2 seconds, you would know what I was saying.
It'll be they'll still be talking about COVID then for sure.
Bro, nope. But they're not getting any traction on it.
I mean, they are and they aren't. The Pentagon just mandated vaccines, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
Well, that's the easiest thing for them to fucking do. Oh, also, I just wanted. I know I'm sure a lot of people in this chat. So somebody called me and said they're gonna whoop your ass, dude. The mooch said that you better be glad y'all weren't in the same room, bro.
I know he's super tough. That guy,
bro. That dude's a hard motherfucker. Hey, Dan.
Do you like? I really enjoyed that conversation for a reason. Only a couple of people have pointed it out so far, but I think a lot of people probably think this. I don't know if you watched the whole interview, but at some point,
I can't.
At some point, yeah, his voice is grating. At some point in the beginning of the argument or the beginning of the interview, he's like, "Well, how do you know that somebody's full of shit?"
Yeah,
and I just list a bunch of characteristics that I saw in him. Honestly, I told Ross before that show started, I'm like, "Look, I'm probably gonna light this dude up at some point." Yeah. I had never even heard of him. I have no idea who this clown is.
Well, he's only there for a week.
I know. I looked him up before the show. I'm like, "Oh boy." This guy, he's the kind of person that just latches on to whomever is in political power or whomever's popular until they inevitably find out he is a piece of shit.
He's a leech.
Get the fuck out.
He's a political leech.
And he tried to wear the fact that he's fucked up his son's career as a badge of honor. Like, yeah, I'm so controversial. My son can't even get a job out of Stanford Business School. Like, dude, you fucked your kid over. Why is that cool?
Well, yeah, I mean, and just like, gosh, I thought it was so fucking funny. But I just wanted to let you know that the mooch is looking for you.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, it's pretty easy to find me, brother.
Well, he said that you all didn't want him down here in person because you were afraid.
Did he really say that?
No, I'm fucking with you. I don't even know the guy. Damn.
I just think it would be funny. He went on as soon as the show was over, or as soon as we posted a clip about it. He got on his Twitter, was talking about fucking, you guys are fucking vaccination deniers and need to fucking, you're not patriots. Like, dude, I fucking actually went to war for this country. I didn't go play in the Middle East like you did, and I didn't pretend to be a patriot.
The mooch, and he was talking hard.
Can we just start calling him the chooch? Because that's really what it is.
Let's call him the gooch.
The gooch?
The gooch.
He's the skin between my balls and asshole.
The gooch. He doesn't even serve a purpose.
There's no purpose. You just take up space, you fucking cunt.
And yeah, and you get like the shittiest, nastiest, sweatiest place too, right? Like you smell the worst. But yeah, that dude was like, I started laughing when he was all butthurt because Trump talked shit about his wife.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean that's the one. And did you notice that any man that he had a problem with in his career, his first thing was to say, "You know what I heard is he's got a little dick. Stormy told me he's got a little dick, man." Hell yeah, fucking Steve Bannon got a tiny dick, man. He's microscopic. You can barely see it.
That's all he talked about.
Man, you think about dicks a lot, mooch. Jesus Christ, why don't you grow one of your own? Fucking just stay at home and play with it. That way you'll be safe from this fucking mad coronavirus.
Oh man, you know who Mooch reminds me of? He is like, and obviously he's not done the shit that he just reminds me when I look at him, like his slick back hair and like his demeanor. He reminds me of Anthony Weiner.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, he's one of those guys.
Yeah, for sure. Like, he just thinks that he's even on. Like, it's funny that he thinks that he's on Donald Trump's radar.
If
like,
you're gonna be on TV, you need to put color in your hair. Like, oh, do you, Mooch? Sounds like you're the one with the little dick.
Do you, Gooch? It's Gooch.
Gooch. What a fucking cunt.
Hey, so Dan, I missed you all week.
Yeah.
You're beautiful.
We've got a couple of good shows coming up next week. One of them is just I'm interviewing that North Korean college student. That's going to go out next Friday.
I thought he didn't make it.
She.
Oh.
It's the woman that was on Rogan not too long ago.
I was going to say, I was like, the guy.
No, the guy.
The guy,
yeah.
He
probably is in a ditch with his head cut off, to be honest. But
no, he's not. He actually, remember they got him out, rescued him, brought him back. Otto.
I'm not familiar with this guy.
Yeah, he didn't make it.
What, he didn't make it? What does that mean?
He stole a sign on his way out of North Korea. And they caught him.
Yeah.
And did North Korea stuff to him.
Yeah, he became a vegetable.
Became a vegetable in jail for him.
Well, probably if you have the opportunity to escape an autocratic dictatorship, don't steal shit on the way
Why
out.
the fuck do you go visit?
Just
Yeah, it was a school trip.
keep on moving. No, I'm talking about the woman who's in college here in the United States that is formerly a resident of North Korea. And then we're also going to talk about how the FDA is privately funded by the organizations it regulates. Now, that sounds like it should be impossible, but it is a very simple thing. What happened was all of these politicians who benefit from the pharmaceutical industry passed a bill that requires, they under the guise of trying to say that these major pharmaceutical companies are wasting the government's money by applying for approval and that it shouldn't be government funded, they started charging the companies exorbitant amounts for approval and then put in clauses where they can make that happen quicker.
Well,
so pharmaceutical companies are literally paying the FDA to approve shit.
Let's just I wish we.
This is from 2012, by the way.
Hold on,
This
but
isn't new.
You know what we need? You know what we need for the show, Giorgio? Are you listening? Can we get a whiteboard up here sometime? Like maybe just take that American flag down and put a whiteboard
Like
up.
Pepe Silvia?
Yeah, because I just want to draw this out. To draw a little bit and think and make it interesting. Kind of like what's that one guy that draws and they make fun of him with the big poofy hair?
The Ancient Aliens dude?
No, I don't know.
John Madden?
No, I don't know him.
Boom!
Bob Ross? He's a painter.
Well, drawer, painter, it's all the same shit.
No, not in the slightest. He
Anyways.
manipulates the medium with the brush.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So
Makes a
anyways,
little brush.
Giorgio, shut up.
Little brush right there. Brush right there.
I'll adjust your medium with my brush. But anyways, who's trying to push the vaccine? The government.
Wait, look.
Who regulates the FDA? Who does the FDA work for? The government.
The FDA works for the pharmaceutical companies, actually, because that's who pays
They
their bills.
all work together.
Yeah. So another interesting, before we get into the mandate bullshit from today, an interesting question you might want to ask anybody that starts spitting data at you about hospitalization rates, the 2x infection rate for unvaccinated versus people who are double or, in this case, triple vaccinated in some cases. Ask them this: why isn't there any data being collected on people with natural immunity with pre-infection of COVID and their hospitalization and serious rates? Now, people will report the infection rate, but they will not report the rate of how serious their conditions become once they are reinfected. There's a reason for that. It's because people who have been infected before, who are getting infected again, are not experiencing the same rate. As a matter of fact, for new variants, it is true historically that natural immunity is better than vaccine immunity. As a matter of fact, the reason you're seeing such a rapid decline in the efficacy of all these vaccines is that this is a new variant, right? It's the same thing that happens with the flu every year. How many times have any of you people or known someone who've gotten the flu shot and still gotten the flu that year? It's because it's different variants, how it works. But natural immunity gives you immunity to all of the spike proteins in COVID, not just one of them. So
Hey,
there you go. And the reason that this data doesn't exist, the reason that nobody's collecting this data, is because natural immunity is, say it with me, kids, free.
ooh,
That's why.
because there's only one color that matters. What is it, Dan?
It is this color, green. 75 to 78% of the people being hospitalized for COVID are fat. I mean, what the fuck are we doing here? Anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today, we're here to talk about, it's breaking news today that the Pentagon has ordered all troops to get vaccinated, but that was to be expected. The issue is with the Marine Corps specifically, and we'll get to that in a second.
So let me bring you up a little instance on the Marine Corps. I got this call and I'm going to try to get it investigated. So I've got the photos on my phone here. So there's like some junior enlisted. They got court-martialed for not wearing their mask. Not court-martialed, but they got NJP'd.
Yeah.
So the lieutenant goes in and sitting there with the CO captain and goes, you can't NJP these kids if you're not going to NJP the staff NCO, all of you all for not following the same thing.
Right.
And he looks at her and goes, that's just how it is. And NJP's these kids. I've got photos of the fucking lieutenant or the captain, their other lieutenant and the first sergeant without fucking mask in a federal building, which is what it says, and they fucking court-martialed these kids. These kids are getting court-martialed, or not court-martialed, again, NJP'd, sorry, not court-martialed. NJP'd over this bullshit, but again, the fucking leadership is not following it. It's
nothing new, right?
How fucked up is that?
It's rules for thee and not for me.
Rules for thee and not for me.
That's what we're always talking about. Now, Lloyd Austin said in a memo today that service leaders, meaning the leaders of the branches of the military, should, quote, impose ambitious timelines for implementation of a mandated COVID vaccine distribution among all troops. Mandate, right?
Yeah.
What we know, again, is that this vaccine, as it were, is not going to be as effective against new variants. That's how vaccines work.
Yep.
And the original variant of COVID-19 is essentially gone now, right? People aren't getting hospitalized for that. They're getting hospitalized for Delta variant because people that have already had it or been immunized against it have immunity now. Mm-hmm. So giving them a vaccine that immunizes them against a fucking virus that no longer exists, at least in its current form, that makes sense. Pfizer vaccine has received full approval from the FDA as of this week. And now the DOD has added it to its required shots troop must get as part of their military service. Now, Lloyd Austin's memo doesn't dictate a specific timeline for completing the vaccinations, probably because he was too busy watching all of our friends and allies die in Afghanistan because he's a fucking cunt coward. Him and General Milley should fucking both blow their brains out of the backs of their heads because they don't deserve to breathe the same air as the other people who've worn that uniform, frankly. Anybody that would leave people that are A, American citizens, and B, have helped us during war for 20 years behind, don't deserve to breathe air.
I mean, so let's go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room on this, right? Like, I got, so the interpreters got it, check. Mm-hmm. We need to do right by them. But I mean, the Afghan soldiers, I mean, that's their fucking country. Like that's their, we should, they need to stay there and fight for it.
Well, maybe.
I mean, like it's their fucking country. I mean, you know, everybody, and that's the thing, right? And some of these interpreters were good. Some of them were fucking lazy and were no help at all, right? I got it. My interpreters, they were, sometimes they were good, sometimes they were bad, right?
Right. We definitely had one sell us out.
But my thing to you is look, the soldiers, the fucking Afghan National Army, we owe them nothing. We gave them more than we could have fucking gave them. And everybody wants to bring them all home. It's their country. They need to be fighting for it. And you know as well as I do, let's go look through all these battles. They would quit in a fucking heartbeat if we weren't there. That's not on us. It's as hard as it is, as terrible as it sounds, the Afghans, obviously the interpreters who helped our mission and were so critical at our mission, but all we went over there to do was to fucking help the Afghan National Army do their job and be better at it and support them.
Think of it this way.
But we don't owe them anything.
Think of it, well, that's not true at all. Think of it this way. We are teaching a child how to ride a bike, right? And they get up to speed and we take our hands off the bike. They wobble and fall down. Do we still owe anything to that child? I would say the answer is obviously yes.
To pick them up and help them ride again.
Right, which we've not done.
We've done it for 20 years.
We've abandoned these motherfuckers, man. I mean, look, it's not about just the last couple of weeks.
We've done it for 20 years.
Yeah, I'm just saying, we abandoned these people a long time ago by not actually focusing on a mission that made any fucking sense.
Well, so we should have never went, but that doesn't mean we bring them here.
No, certainly not necessarily we bring every single Afghan soldier here. That's not the answer.
But we have fucked up. But we didn't fuck up by not bringing them with us. We fucked up by not going over there with a mission and a clear objective of what we were doing there.
Well, I mean, we fucked up by telling people that we had their back and then not having it. We've done that to the Kurds. Actually, Trump did it as well, pulling out and before. And we did it to the Kurds under Bush 1, and we did it to the Cubans at the Bay of Pigs. We've done it to a number of people.
Yeah, yo mama. Like we did. Like the Afghan military was trained to fight with air cover, and we left them with none though. Yeah, 100%. But tell me what the strategy is going to be. How long do we stay there? How long do we stay there?
Well, I mean, look, it's
how long do we stay there to
for sure. That's a fair question.
We've been there for 20 questions. We've spent $2 trillion there.
Well, how long have we been in Germany and Korea?
We're not with one base, like as a strategic place. I got if we want to put one base there. If we want to put one base there, and I mean, are we operating in Germany?
Are we operating in? No, not necessarily in Germany, but we use it as a launch point for any kind of European-based theater.
But we're not like setting up the German, like we're not like.
There's 30,000 people stationed in South Korea right now.
I mean, are we over there running operations in South Korea?
Intelligence operations, yeah.
So I mean,
we have 42,000 people in Germany right now, in 38 separate facilities. So I don't know if what you're saying holds up.
I mean, again, so you want to just keep a base there and just run intelligence, but again, the Afghan army is going to fall under the same thing if we're not out running missions with them.
Maybe, yeah, but I mean, we should be, right? Not conventional forces, but our special operators should certainly be running counter missions with Afghans to prevent.
They should be doing that worldwide.
Absolutely.
Like that should be a global war on terrorism, not just in.
Yeah, but you got to put bases somewhere, right? Afghanistan's as good a place as any.
Keep it there.
Because it's very strategic. I think we should at least have considered. But forget about all that stuff. The issue with that situation is that we had all of this time leading up to this date when we said we were going to leave, right? And instead of using that time to identify the people we were going to bring with us, and then facilitate that, we waited to the last minute, pulled our most strategic assets from our most strategic air base, and just left everybody to fend for themselves. That's our legacy in Afghanistan.
I mean, I got you. But did you not know that was going to happen in Iraq and Afghanistan? Did we all not see that coming?
I mean, certainly everyone saw it coming as soon as Biden got elected, I think.
For sure. But I mean, it was like, the only shitty part is that every president kicked this down the road just a little bit further so that it didn't come out on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
This was kicked down the road as far as, see how long we can get this to keep going, and because I don't want this stain on my legacy.
Right. There's probably some truth to that. So back to, we're getting off topic. We're going to talk more about that on Friday this week. We have quite the show for you on this whole Afghan thing.
Yeah, it's a shit show.
National Guard forces are also technically subject to this, which will be interesting because you're going to have to get them to report to come get a vaccine, and that's probably not going to happen, brother, unless they turn their entire annual training exercise into a vaccine thing.
They will. It'll be the whole thing.
They can, but what you're going to see is a lot of people not showing up for that. And to be honest, there is a push-pull when it comes to power and authority and hand, as it were, in a relationship with the military. And if you come out with an edict that you can't enforce or that you know is going to be rejected in force by people, that makes you look really bad.
Yeah.
It makes you look weak. And I think that's probably what's going to happen now.
You think?
Yeah. I think that a lot of National Guardsmen, I think that a lot of active soldiers, Marines, airmen, and fucking sailors are going to say, fuck you to this bullshit.
But don't you think like they're going to turn around and be like, will you get a dishonorable discharge?
Well, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So the Marine Corps mandate came actually before the Pentagon mandate on August 18th, last week rather. Colonel Teague Pastel, which is a stupid fucking name, a commanding officer at the Marine Barracks in Washington, D.C., released a memo outlining possible penalties for Marines that refuse to get the COVID vaccine. In the email, he states that while vaccines are still voluntary at the time they will become mandatory in the near future. He believes the punishments for unvaccinated Marines should be similar to the penalties for insubordination. The email states following, quote, as you continue to engage with your Marines and sailors about volunteering to get the vaccine now instead of waiting, please ensure they know the anticipated ramifications of refusing to vaccinate. Some of the penalties mentioned by Colonel Pastel for this include loss of tuition assistance, revoking access to the GI Bill, loss of their pension, right?
That's crazy.
Email goes on to say, quote, please continue engaging with our troops on the importance of vaccinating and stressed it is voluntary at this time. However, once the vaccine becomes mandatory, they need to be prepared to separate and potentially lose benefits. If the Marines are not willing to lose benefits, they should just go ahead and get the vaccine now.
But I mean, that'll never hold up in a court case.
Sure it will.
Why?
Why wouldn't it? It's a direct order. Show me how it's an illegal order.
That is true.
Unless you could establish that as an unlawful order. I mean, you could make the case that you have some religious exemption, but how many cases is the federal government going to look at with that? I mean, this needs to go to the Supreme Court pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think you should be able to do this to people. Like, I think you should give them the chance of like, hey, this vaccine's here. If you want to, you can go ahead and separate in 30 days.
Yeah. I mean, here's the case you can make, and I think that it's very nuanced. You can make the case that I didn't sign up for this. But so, in a way, people that enlisted in the 90s can make that same case. Like, I didn't enlist to go to war, but you enlisted in the military, bro. You did enlist to go to war.
I mean, like, they're not, that's not going to stand.
But I didn't enlist to have experimental drugs injected into my body. Now, I volunteered for some of that stuff because I thought it was funny, right? Like, the anthrax, like, I don't give a shit. Who cares? What's the worst that can happen, right? I put so much weird shit in I'm not afraid of the COVID vaccine at all. I'm not afraid of getting it myself, frankly. And I would if I thought that there was a reason for it. But what I am afraid of is being mandated by the government to put shit in my body. This is an argument that the left has been on the right side of for a long time, in my opinion. Preventing people from telling women what to do with their bodies, preventing mandatory things of all kinds. But I'll tell you this is the same argument that Jordan Peterson was having 4 years ago with the province of Ontario about whatever their, what was it, 418? Bill 480? I don't remember what the name of it was. But it was a bill that criminalized and even called hate speech misgendering someone. So for the first time in human history, in the West, you weren't being told what you can't say. You were being told what you have to say. And now you're not being told what you can put in your body or what you can't put in your body. You're being told what you have to put in your body. Unacceptable all the way around, regardless if it's a service member or not.
Yep, all the way around.
So,
but on the back, but like, I just like to play devil's advocate.
Yeah, C16, that's right. Thanks, guys.
I like to play devil's advocate. So what about these private businesses? Like, if I want to require this with my company, it's my company. Like, if I want to require people to wear, like, hey, you should wear a uniform to my company or not, right? Or, hey, they also have that right as well.
No, they don't. There's got to be a limit to what your rights are as an employer. Like, I have to pass standards insofar as I don't bring something unsafe into the workplace, guns, maybe, if they consider that to be unsafe. Some places do have no gun policies. Some places have, like, you can't do certain things.
But how can you have a school, how can you have a school that you require, like, it's like a police officer, like, you require them to carry a gun.
Right.
Like, you can also require people not to be able to have guns there, right? Like, it's like all these things, like what people consider, it's your company, it's your home. Like, it's like your home, like your company that you have built and started.
To some degree,
private company.
To some degree, that is true, right? Like, to some degree, that is true.
And you can choose to sign up for that, like.
Right, but you can't tell people you can only wear shorts.
I mean, if that's the uniform of.
Nope.
If you're, I mean, so how do you, working at Hooters, how do they, like, they tell those girls they have to wear those fucking low-cut shirts?
No, they don't. No, they cannot say that.
How?
People.
That's the uniform.
It is a.
UPS drivers have to wear uniforms.
Uniforms, but not a specific type, right? There's got to be options that make, for religious exemptions and all sorts of stuff, right? And for ADA, for Americans with Disabilities, all sorts of different regulations on what you can and can't mandate. Then there are also protected classes, right? Beyond
okay, well, how about this? What about the cops that discriminate against, or what about the departments that discriminate against tattoos?
Tattoos, beards, yeah, that's all very problematic. Very problematic. Things that should be taken to court because the jurisdiction of police uniformity is about making them visible to the public and ensuring their safety. Now, if you can draw some kind of designation between a tattoo and an unsafe environment, then we can have that conversation, but that is ridiculous. Same thing with facial hair, right? Mm-hmm. If you can draw some kind of, other than professionalism, which is like a floating variable, who the fuck knows what that means anymore, right? Because culture changes. I mean, that's nonsense. Yeah. It's not obvious to anybody what profession. If you ask 10 people to define professionalism, they will all give you 10 different answers.
Yeah,
that's how that works. So unless it's tied back to public safety and the safety of the officer and a tactical reason, then I think it should be eliminated. We've had this discussion before. We've had it in the military too, and they're thinking about
either way
bringing the beard back.
Either way, we're just back to this point of like, we're told every day what we can do and can't do. Like there's requirements every single day to everything that we do, and it's like, this is just one more thing.
Yeah, there are requirements. Yeah, and that's the contract we signed with civil society, right? As a human being,
yeah,
I don't want to have to fight wolves every day. Mm-hmm. I don't want to have to go hunting every day. I don't want to have to do X, Y, and Z. I like the infrastructure that exists because then I'm able to explore more in my life.
Yeah,
I like that. But there is a fucking red line in the sand. Now, the Gooch tried to say,
well, he was stupid when he made that fucking comment.
Very, very, very true. But it's a good thing to analyze. He said that I don't have the right to swing my fist and hit him in the face. No, absolutely true. Absolutely true that I don't have the intrinsic right to just flail about, right, and hit people. That's not my right to do that. It is my right, however, to, if throughout all of human history my fists have extended this far, if you come stand right next to me and now are in my punching zone, you get punched, right? And this is my liberty. Mm-hmm. My liberty to put what I want in my body, whether I want to or not, right? It's what this country is founded on, not putting shit into your body, but the idea of individual liberty, standing above a centralized federal government.
You do, but you still have that. But like, now I'll tell you, the only place I've seen that's fucked up is this judge that's not letting people get out of jail unless they get the vaccine. Have you seen that?
No, I've not seen that.
Yeah. So I think that's fucked up. Like freedom or fucking the vaccine or jail or...
Right, but you're talking about Marines now that have served their countries honorably other than taking this mandate, and now they're being told that they're going to lose their fucking benefits from that service.
Well, so I don't think they should lose anything. I think they should have, like I said, they should get out in if you want to get out in 30 days, you can get out. You have the option to get out with an honorable discharge. Mm-hmm. You know, like if you choose not, this is the way the Marine Corps is going forward.
I think this would be a great idea, by the way.
So like,
because all the people that are rational will just leave the military.
Yeah.
Right. Which is, I think, something that probably needs to happen right now anyway. If you're on the fence about re-enlisting, if you're thinking about enlisting right now, I would hold off.
Yep.
Because frankly, I don't know that you're on the right side anymore.
Who knows what side it is?
So this email from Colonel Fuckface was sent prior to the FDA approval for the Pfizer vaccine, which opened the door for the military to mandate vaccination. Obviously, we saw that today. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and the Joint Chief of Staff Chairman, General Mark Milley, who all of you know at this point as just cowards, right? Shitbags. Lloyd Austin had the temerity to say that COVID was the #1 threat to our military when
dumbest thing ever.
20 times more people have killed themselves this year than have died from COVID.
Yeah.
Thanks, bud. Mark Milley is, of course, the piece of shit who champions critical race theory throughout our force.
Yeah.
Which is one of the dumbest things.
Well, they're all just looking for their next job.
Yeah, they're looking for a job in the next Democratic administration.
Yes.
The problem is that probably isn't going to be coming for a while.
Yeah.
People are pretty upset. I think the issue for the Republicans right now is that their most popular candidates are polarizing figures. Like, I don't think that DeSantis can get elected right now. He's probably the most popular person among Republicans. I don't think on a national level he could get. The problem for Biden right now is that his approval rating among the moderates or the independents is about 27% the last time I looked.
Yeah.
But those people aren't going to vote for DeSantis either. They will just sit it out.
Yeah.
Which will mean that Republicans win, because usually when independents sit out, Republicans win. But that's not going to be like a political mandate.
No.
So I don't know how that's going to go down. At any rate, Austin and Milley have previously discussed mandating the vaccine. but how they planned on implementing it remained unknown. The Pentagon has stated that over 1 million troops are fully vaccinated, with another 237,000 receiving one dose. So that's 74% of the Marines and Navy, 65% of the Air Force, and 50% of the Army, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
The Army's just got so many bases and so many fucking places. That one's going to be the tough one for them to get, if they're trying to get it done, actually. So, in addition to the Marine Corps, here are a number of, and I just want to point this out again. The vaccination would be good 10 years from now if this virus rose to the level of a threat 10 years from now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which it wouldn't, right? But it's what it's not going to be good against. And people are trying to say it without saying it on CNN and MSNBC. They're trying to say the phrase that it doesn't protect against Delta as an excuse to get a third shot, but they're not saying it as an excuse for people not to get their first shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it means both things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Technically speaking, it means both things are true. And
because what's the next variant?
Right. Well, it'll be Lambda. But so the issue at hand here is that policy has not caught up with reality. Policy is 3 months, 6 months, 12 months in the past, where these things are this original variant is no longer a threat, but this vaccine specifically treats that original variant with some effect, lowered all the way down to about 65%, it looks like, for the new variant, in parentheses. So the idea that you would mandate these vaccines when you know that they have a reduced efficacy because of new variants means one thing to me, that it is all about selling more vaccines to the government, i.e. your tax dollars.
100%.
So when I see these companies doing this shit, it's maddening. And there's a list of companies that we're going to get to right after the break. Ghostbed.com/Drinking Bros. Go fuck yourself if you don't sleep on a ghost bed, you bitch. That's their new, I'm reading it right off the page. Ghostbed sent this, and they were like, hey, you sons of bitches. I don't know why they're so aggressive.
Let me see.
Maybe they're getting like dementia like Biden did.
I didn't get that.
Oh, no, I made that up.
Oh.
Sleep so good, it's scary. It's an awesome bed. Here's some of the, I want to read some of the fucking reviews, actually.
I want to read your review.
My review is, well.
Thank you for your service.
You should ask Brittany what my review is.
Well, she told me it's like a 1 out of 10. She said she said, well, all Brittany said was his review is the same amount of inches as his dick.
Yeah.
So it's 1.
She and the Mooch came up with that one together. Let's see. We love our ghost bed. #Drinking Bros. Matthias Wagner. Brandon says the ghost bed is definitely the best bed I've ever owned, and their pillows. These are all Drinking Bros, by the way. Hightower says if you like doggos, follow Boomerang_Boomer. Shout out there. And if you like a good night's sleep, check out Ghost Bed. Best mattress I've ever owned. Let's see, what else? Michael Vieira. Apparently it was National Dog Day. That was March 24th. Take this opportunity for some pillows for Ghost Bed. And there's a guy who has posted a picture of himself apparently nude. But you can only really see his face. Oh man, this is Heath Kennedy is his name. Oh man, do I love my @Ghost Bed. Great for sleeping and making love. I don't see another human being in the picture though, so I'm not sure if he's making love to the bed or what's happening there. But I hope that's the case. I hope he's making love to the bed. And then of course there's plenty of others on there. Ghost Bed's the best bed company in the world. And if you don't believe it, you can go fuck yourself. Go to ghostbed.com/Drinking Bros. Get all them deals. I got a 40% off deal right now. 30% off forever for all military and first responders. Sleep so good, it's scary. And next up, we've got Amazon Music, which is what I use.
Oh, yeah, I like Amazon Music.
They have...
You know what I like about it the most?
They have the best selection of music, in my opinion. I mean, it's got fucking It's like Amazon if you're looking for a movie. It's just got everything. Yeah,
I really like it the most because I can listen to Garth Brooks on it.
What about Chris Gaines?
Never heard of her.
Chris Gaines is his alter ego. Do you remember that guy from the 90s? It was really weird.
No, but I listen to Garth Brooks. That's the only place I can find Garth Brooks.
Why?
because he's not on any. You can't get him on anything else.
Oh, really? Shit.
Yeah, he's only on Amazon.
Well, there's also a ton of podcasts, including ours, on Amazon Music. They have 10 million free podcast episodes to listen to. Obviously, not just for podcasts. They have thousands of music stations, top playlists to stream for free. And no matter what you're listening to, you can go, quote, hands-free, end quote, with Alexa. They have the same tech that a lot of the other companies are using, right? But I think a little bit better music selection. They've got over 75 million songs. It's like Amazon Prime Video. If there's a video, or if there's a movie or something that exists, and it's not some weird indie thing that, or if it's not a Disney thing that they've isolated on their channels, and even sometimes those are still on there. You can find everything, dude. So that's why I like it. And I pay for the Amazon Music Unlimited. It's not very expensive because I don't want to hear advertisements like this unless I want to. Like on our show, you can just skip this if you want. That's why we try to make it entertaining, because this is all about entertaining people and informing people. So that's us. But a lot of these companies that carry music, video, podcasts, etc., just inundate you with these ads that disrupt the flow of stuff, right? That you can't skip. Buy the Amazon Music Unlimited. Now is a great time. For a limited time, new customers can try Amazon Music Unlimited free for 30 days. No credit card required. Just go to amazon.com/American Party. That's amazon.com/American Party to try Amazon Music Unlimited free for 30 days. Amazon.com/American Party. Renews automatically. Cancel anytime. Terms apply. Read those fine prints. Don't sign up for anything you don't agree with.
Hell yeah.
So here are some companies that I don't agree with. Amtrak has announced that all company employees must either be vaccinated or start getting weekly COVID tests effective November 1st. Now, that is not technically a mandate, and I'll explain that here in a few. Starting October 4th, they will be required to show proof of vaccination before they begin working for the company, and there will be no exemptions for medical or religious reasons. This is Amtrak.
So how's that going to go?
Well, I didn't know that Amtrak still existed until I saw it on this paper. So that's how it's going to go. But apparently rail travel, or at least for...
On the East Coast, for sure.
For cargo and stuff, still a big thing. And any kind of disruption to the supply chain, we've seen it, right? With the Suez Canal stuff, with the microprocessors from China, it fucks up everything. So...
But Amtrak is more for... I thought Amtrak was more about like
personnel. I don't know. I do know that
Amtrak's more
Amtrak's passenger.
Amtrak's passenger. So like
passenger only, huh? So who the fuck takes a goddamn train anymore?
I mean, when I'm in DC, I take it. If I'm going to New York, I'll take a fucking Amtrak before I'll fucking fly.
DC to New York, yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
Because I can work.
That's
the whole
a big
time.
one. Bay Area to LA is a big one too.
Yeah. So,
but other than those two, which is, I mean, to be fair, there's 8 million people in New York City. There's 38 million people in California. That's a big chunk of folks. But, you know, how many people even work on Amtrak?
I actually...
It's got to be mostly mechanics. It's certainly not conductors and attendants.
No.
There's 20,000 Amtrak employees.
I lived behind the Amtrak station here, and a passenger train would pull up every day, and the amount of people getting off was, like, oddly surprising.
Well, that's probably because you only expected one person to get off. At any rate, weird that they're not having exemptions for medical or religious reasons. That one is going to end up in court 100%. Ascension Health is required. By the way, hold on, I got to find this right quick. George Mason University. Odd that this story has not seen the mainstream anywhere yet, and has only been reported in Yahoo Finance, of all places. Probably in an attempt to ensure it doesn't see the light of day. Excuse me. George Mason University caves to NCLA's lawsuit over vaccine mandate, grants professor medical exemption. So the new Civil Liberties Alliance, which I think is just a new version of the ACLU that isn't bound up in identity politics and shit, they're a civil rights organization. They announced today that this is August 17th, by the way, that Yahoo News, Yahoo Finance, for some reason. This isn't even a finance professor. It's a law professor. Anyways, Todd Zawicki, their client, who is a professor at the law school, has been granted he was able to get a medical exemption from forced vaccination because of his natural immunity, right? So GMU and other universities must stop ignoring science. This is a statement from the NCLA. They must stop ignoring science and cease forcing mandatory vaccines on even those with naturally acquired immunity, especially if only approved under an federal EUA. Now, that's not the case anymore with Pfizer. All right. So, in the Eastern District of Virginia on August 3rd, 2021, the reopening policy at GMU was challenged by Professor Zawicki and NCLA. The policy announced June 28th requires all faculty and staff members, including those who can demonstrate natural immunity through recovery from a prior COVID-19 infection, to disclose their vaccination status as a prerequisite for eligibility for any merit pay increases, unless they obtain a religious or medical exemption. So this wasn't even about termination. This was just about your rights within the organization, because that's how it'll start, right? Like you have to pay for your own tests, or you have to wear a mask, or you are excluded from these events, or whatever, right? So this case, the first of its kind in federal court, found that natural immunity, right, is to be considered similar to vaccination. Professor Zawicki has already contracted and fully recovered from COVID-19. As a result, he has acquired robust natural immunity confirmed unequivocally by multiple positive SARS-CoV-2 antibody tests conducted over the past year. In fact, his immunologist, Dr. Human Norchazam, I know Human is like a common name over there, but it still seemed like an alien who's like, my name is Human.
Yeah.
Hello. Anyways, has advised him that based on his personal health and immunity status, it is medically unnecessary to get the COVID-19 vaccine, and that it violates medical ethics to order unnecessary procedures. Now, there's a law that prevents physicians from being paid extra for prescribing more medicine. It's a federal law. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
But not in this case, right?
Interesting.
Very bizarre, isn't it? At any rate, excuse me. At any rate, the exemption has been granted to Professor Zawicki. This is the first case law on this specifically, and it is something that you should all be paying attention to. Go look up his case, find out the ins and outs, what have you, to quote my favorite movie, and figure out how you're going to react when people if you've had COVID before and you can demonstrate that fact with a positive test and then a positive antibody test after that. It appears as though you can fucking sue and not let them do this. I don't know about in the military. That might be something different.
We'll see. I mean, you've seen a lot of shit in the military that we never thought would happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Ascension Health is giving employees until November 13th, unless they work from home. Or whether, I'm sorry, Jesus Christ, even if they work from home. What the fuck? The mandate from Ascension Health applies to all of its staff, subsidiary, partner employees, independent physicians who contract through them, volunteers who enter their facilities. Unlike Amtrak, Ascension Health is accepting exemptions based on religious beliefs or prior medical conditions. BlackRock, the company that is currently buying up all the land in America, which is very bizarre, also announced mandates. Only employees who have proof of vaccination are permitted to enter their offices, and the company has been requiring all of their employees to report to their vaccination status since June. Capital One, another company. CNN, obviously. Disney World. McDonald's sent an internal memo to employees earlier this month announcing that U.S. employees must be vaccinated to come into their offices. The mandate for McDonald's does not currently apply to staff in corporate or franchise restaurants, so it doesn't apply to anybody.
Yeah.
That's just moral grandstanding, I guess. I don't know. Microsoft stated that in September it will require proof of vaccination for its employees, as well as vendors and guests who wish to enter their offices. The company is allowing exemptions for employees who have medical conditions or religious reasons for not getting the vaccine. Walmart will now require all workers at its corporate headquarters and managers who travel inside the country to be fully vaccinated by October 4th. All of these people now, because of Professor Zawicki, have recourse to sue their companies. And I hope they do. I hope the federal courts are flooded with lawsuits, because that'll be one of the impetuses for this to be taken up to the Supreme Court. And I can tell you how the 6-3 Supreme Court is going to rule on this.
For sure.
It's not going to be fucking good for anybody. Pharmaceutical company vaccine guidelines. So Johnson & Johnson announced that all employees and contractors of the company in the U.S. will be required to be fully vaccinated effective October 4th. Individuals with exemptions or whatever for not being vaccinated will be able to seek accommodations. Moderna is requiring COVID vaccinations for all workers in the U.S. effective October 1st. Requests for exemptions due to medical, blah, 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 will be considered on an individual basis. Pfizer, one of the companies responsible for developing the vaccine, obviously, and the one that's been approved recently, has announced that all U.S. employees will be required to get the vaccine or undergo weekly COVID testing. So now we get into the crux of all this stuff.
Yep.
The federal government knows that it can't mandate shit. Otherwise, it would have done it a long time ago. It knows it can do it in the military. It knows it can do it with law enforcement, with healthcare professionals in the VA and things like that. You can probably at least get away with that. But they know they can't get away with just forcing their employees. That's why they're coming up with all these backdoor ways of, well, then you have to get testing all the time. And then it's not only do you have to get testing all the time, but the company shouldn't have to pay for that. The taxpayer shouldn't have to pay for that. You should. So now they make it cost prohibitive just to work there.
Yeah.
Right? If they're using those tactics of trying to shame people or force them into bad situations if they don't comply, or make their life uncomfortable if they don't comply, that means they know they can't win the moral argument. They cannot win the legal argument.
Yeah.
That's what they know. And that brings me to this. On July 29th, President Biden announced that all federal employees would be required to report their vaccination status. Not to get vaccinated, but to report their status. And any federal employee who is not fully vaccinated will be required to wear a mask at work, distance themselves from other employees, and comply with weekly or twice weekly COVID testing and face restrictions on official travel. Right? But not mandated vaccines, because they know they can't do it.
Yeah.
They know they can't do it. Anyone working for the federal government or department agency is a federal employee, meaning the CDC and FDA follow under these guidelines. And those are the things that the leaders of the CDC and FDA have said. The World Health Organization, which is also fully aware of its limited authority here, has given the same guidance. You either do it or you're going to face X, Y, and Z. But not that you have to do it.
Yeah, it'll make you
There are
miserable
just
if you don't.
consequences, yes. As of now, there's no mandate requiring federal employees to be vaccinated in order to apply for work or to continue working. Because, again, they know they can't do it. That's why they're trying to use these backdoor methods to scare people. And quite frankly, it is pathetic.
Yeah. It's pretty stupid.
Pretty stupid. I want to address, Josh Shepard says, Dan is struggling, and I think it might help to consider this notion. You're right. Your rights end where mine begin. My right to bodily autonomy is where the rights of any company end, and individual. I don't understand what you're saying. Could you clarify that? Are you telling me that a business has a right to force people to get vaccinated, or that they have a right to not hire people or service people who aren't vaccinated? I mean, technically, I would say that's probably true.
Yeah.
You can do what you want, frankly,
Yeah.
but there's a consequence to that.
But there's,
I mean, you can't though. You can't do what you want.
There's you can always do what you want. There's consequences. I mean, you can go murder somebody if you want.
Sure, yeah.
There's consequences to it.
Yeah, I guess that's true, yeah.
I mean, you could literally, and Mooch is wrong. You do have the right to walk down the street and fucking hit everybody that you want to hit. Eventually, you're going to go to jail.
Right, yeah.
There's laws. I mean, Mooch is, I mean, he.
But you're starting from the, not you, but that argument begins from the wrong place. It begins with the presumption. That's funny, Zaza Pachulia. I hate that guy so much. I hope that's not the real Zaza. But you trip people, and it's weird. He's a basketball player. Anyways, you're coming from the position that you have the right to be safe and unaffected by other people in a public sphere. That is not the case. It's simply not the case. It is the case that safety, right, is not a right. It's a privilege. And it's a privilege to live in this country.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is like...
And it's earned with blood.
Yeah.
And sacrifice. And that is how it is, right?
Yeah,
if you're coming from the position that you are intrinsically entitled
well, that's it.
to safety, that is not true.
No, you're not. Like that, and that's it, right? Like that is where the mooch is so wrong when he goes, "It's my right for you to be vaccinated, so I'm safe." No, motherfucker, it's not. It's not. It's also not your. I mean, like.
That's why I said what I said.
Because we live in a great country and you have the privilege to be safe. You don't like nobody owes you the right to not get fucking shot walking down the street, to not get like that's not the world, mooch.
There's no presumption of safety. It is a collective effort towards safety.
It's a collective, right? Exactly.
So in that way, you could make an argument that, well, if it's a collective effort towards safety, shouldn't we all be moving in the same direction on safety, and wouldn't not moving in that direction constitute a violation of the group's rights at large? Maybe that is true, but not in this case.
Let's just go back to what the whole problem of all this is. It goes back to people like Mooch, the government, and the media for fucking and botching this thing from the beginning. Like, people might believe in this if there wasn't so many political agendas behind it, and people making so much fucking money. Like, they wouldn't be so resistant against making the place safer if they. This is kind of like the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
Like, if they trusted the people weren't gonna didn't have hidden agendas, nobody wakes up and says, "I want to hurt somebody else." I mean, majority of good people, right? Majority of people want to do what's best for everybody. But the problem is the motherfuckers trying to tell us what's best for each other, like trying to make us do something before we ask for it.
I mean, think about that. The organization or government entity or philosophy even that comes in and tells you what you should and shouldn't do almost inevitably turns to violence at some points, whether it's the church, whether it was the Muslims back in the day, whether it was communism, or whether it's now corporatism, right? And corporatism, we never thought that capitalism would become something that would be backed by violence, because it wasn't necessary, because the competition that violence illustrates, right? In that battle between classes or whatever, but just against circumstance, that struggle now went into the competition, right? To be the best in a capitalist society.
But that's why I don't get, like, again, I don't get why all these topics are huge, right? Like, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to do. If I walk in your business and you tell me to put a mask on, guess what I do? I leave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Same.
I'm not going to, like, I know that my money is as important to you as your product is to me, if not more, right? Because guess what? Like, there's more motherfuckers out there providing your product that I can go buy.
Yeah, for sure.
And my money pays your bills.
It's called an inelastic product.
And that's the thing is, like, I just don't get how everybody's so worried about this shit, because guess what? I will go out. If I don't want to get a vaccine, I got it. But if I didn't want to get it and you require me to do it, dude, I can go out here and dig ditches all day. I will pay. I know that I will feed my family. I will put money on my fucking table. Like I will put food on my table. Nobody runs me. Nobody. I do what the fuck I allow people to tell me to do.
Well, like you said before, if any of this had ever made any sense, then it might be a different story, right? If it was the Spanish flu and we were 100 years behind on technology right now, that might be the case, right? There may be at least some argument for it. But when the Gooch brings up measles, which, by the way, before vaccines had a 15.7% mortality rate for children.
Yeah.
So he tried to, well, your kids have measles and polio vaccines, didn't you get that? Yeah, because when we didn't get it before, it was 15.5% of children died when they got it. Motherfucker, that's why. And with polio, it was on the lower end for kids, 5% or so would die from it, but a lot had, a very higher percentage had long-term, like, obvious negative physical effects, like Forrest Gump. You know what I mean? Leg shit, where you couldn't move around and stuff. And then for adults, it was 15 to 30% mortality rate. right? Like chickenpox gets worse as you get older.
Dude, again.
These are not comparable numbers. At the worst, COVID was like in the low 1% range. And that's if you believe the numbers that said only 646 people died of the goddamn flu last year, which we know is not true.
All this stuff goes back to one thing. People are fucking weak. They're letting people bother them, thinking that they can control them. And here's what it comes down to. What if you don't like that your job's requiring you to do it, go get another fucking job.
Right. So before we leave here today, just the legality of requiring vaccines, because this is going to be important to remember in the case. When you go look up this George Mason University guy, remember all of this stuff. According to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, companies are allowed to require their employees to be vaccinated or provide proof of prior vaccination. The law states, quote, federal EEO laws do not prevent an employer from requiring all employees entering the workplace to be vaccinated for COVID-19, so long as employers comply with the reasonable accommodation provisions of the ADA and Title IX of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and other EEO considerations. Now, that's a very brief way of saying there are a lot of reasons that a company can't force you to do that. And we just found one here, which is natural immunity. Federal law also does not prevent or limit employees from offering incentives to employees to voluntarily provide documentation or other confirmation of vaccination obtained by a third party. Employees that are administering vaccines to their employers rather, may also offer incentives for employees to be vaccinated due to the vaccination requiring, employees to answer a pre-vaccination screening for disabilities. A very large incentive on behalf of the company may cause employees to feel pressured to disclose protected medical information. Employers are also allowed to make vaccination a requirement on job applications. While the HIPAA Act protects certain individuals and organizations from having to disclose medical information, HIPAA does not bar private businesses from requiring vaccine documentation. These requirements are already being seen in many businesses, and according to the job site, Indeed, there have been a 90% increase in job postings requiring vaccination over the last however many months. Now, keep this in mind. If you're one of those people that have had COVID and you see this coming down the line in your company, whether you're in the military or otherwise, if you're in a private company, whatever it is, and you see this coming, what you need to do is find medical documentation that you've had COVID and then go get an antibody test to prove it. And then when your company tries to pull this bullshit, bring them the finding from the George Mason University case and say, here's the case law that supports the fact that my natural immunity stands up to the level of your requirement for vaccination.
Yep.
The end. We'll see you in hell.
See you in hell.